Giri Govardhan. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Jamunamai Ki Jai, Shri Mata Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Samalena Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories, this. All glories, this. All glories to the Son of devotees, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Title that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aranam Namaskritya Naranchaya Paratamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Murdaya Master Prasha Badreshu Nitya Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashaki. So today is the most holy, auspicious day. Namadastaka, one of our favorite, most auspicious times in Sri Gita Nagari. And by the mercy of Dhruva Prabhu, who is with the cows and the somehow or other, and myself got invited on the first day of Karti. And so this is a blessing, sitting in front of Tulsi Maharani, getting her mercy today, which is quite really auspicious because actually this is one of the sacred rocks. It's the water she went to Tulsi. Anyway, we're going to read the verse and we're going to talk a little bit about Kartik. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 3, text number 18. 18. I am just going to put on my glasses just so I can see. Sorry. Krishna. Sorry, dear devotees, and thank you all devotees that are here online and here in person. Krishna. Receivers. Okay. I can do this. All right. Adraksha Mahametam Te. Ritsara Maharab Puta. Tamshabakshita Dehasya. Prayashti Shirukserate. Adraksha Mahametam Te. Ritsara Maharab Putam. Tamsabakshita Dehasya. Prana Ashtishu Sherate. Ajaksha Mahametam Te. Kritsaram Maharabutam. Tamsabhakshitas Dehasya. Pranish Ashtishu Sherate. Would you like to chant? Ahamashvijam ehante. Riksham madabhutam. Vamshabhakshita dehasya. Pranishish ashtishu sevate. Ajaksham. I've personally seen. Aham. I. Etam. This. Te. Your. Riksharam. Power of endurance. Mahat. Very great. Adbhutam. Wonderful. Damshabakshita. Eaten by worms and ants. Dehashya. Whose body? Prana. The life air. Indeed. Ashtichu. In the bones. Sarate. Is taking shelter. Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. I have been very much astonished to see your endurance. In spite of being eaten and bitten by all kinds of worms and ants, you are keeping your life air circulating within your bones. Certainly, this is wonderful. Please repeat. I have been very much astonished to see your endurance. In spite of being eaten and bitten by all kinds of worms and ants, you are keeping your life air circulating within your bones. Certainly, this is wonderful. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It appears that the soul can exist even though the bones, as shown by the personal example of Hiranyakashipu, as shown by the personal example of Hiranyakashipu. When great yogis are in samadhi, even when their bodies are buried and their skin, marrow, blood, and so on have all been eaten, if only their bones remain, they can exist in a transcendental position. Very recently, an archaeologist published findings indicating that Lord Christ, after being buried, was exhumed, and that then he went to Kashmir. There have been many actual examples of yogis being burned in trance and exhumed alive and in good condition several hours later. A yogi can keep himself alive in a transcendental state, even if buried not only for many days, but for many years. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyanadaya Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vishaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Padamaya Tadati Swam Padantika Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Taparakalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamshan Shri Rupam Sagajatam Savana Rabanatam Hitam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Sarvabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakat Namashtute Taptakanchana Goran Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Satadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vachakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhaktivedanta Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasatyadi Shatari. So the verse, the translation again, I have been very much astonished to see your endurance. In spite of being eaten and bitten by all kinds of worms and ants, you are keeping your life air circulating within your bones. Certainly, this is wonderful. It's interesting how Hiranyakashipu, even though his intention is not for any good purpose, his intention is quite demoniac. Still, Lord Brahma is acknowledging him, which is quite interesting. How a person can have intentions that are not in any way godly, God conscious, not in any way supporting, anything to do with religiosity, spirituality, but yet great personalities like Lord Brahma, they, although they know, they're fully aware, they still take that time to acknowledge the person and say kind words. So here he is, he says, in spite of, first he's saying, wow, just so amazed of your endurance. you've gone through so much. We know the pastime, and we know that Hiranyakashipu, he was totally body was totally gone. He was totally beaten. I mean, in all intents and purposes, for most people, they would say the person's dead. He can't be alive like that. Actually, in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning how he was just like bones. But yet he was alive. And of course, Brahma was alive because it was the arrangement. Brahma was the benedictine. And so Brahma now came to do his service. And he's sharing to this person that's acting in this way, in this mood of not being conscious. He's saying to him, wow, I'm astonished. I'm astonished at how you're able to perform all these austerities, even though your body's being eaten, even though you have no flesh on your body. And still you're keeping the life you're serving. So he says to him, this is wonderful. It's quite amazing. This is wonderful. Wonderful that he is surviving in this way. He's very determined, Hiranyakashipu, and he had a peak, he had a project, he had an intention, he had something he was going to do. So he wasn't going to get detoured in any way. And Lord Brahma, he's just sharing his amazement at this kind of determination that Hiranyakashipu had. And so in the purport, the Prophet breaks it down for us and gives us a vision of how we can understand this translation. And Prabhupada says that it's interesting to use this word. It appears that the soul can exist even though bones are not. They're there, even through the bones, the soul can exist even through the bones. So that's quite interesting for us, those of us that understand or we're trying to understand that we're not our bodies. Quite interesting that the soul, which gives life to the body, can live even when seemingly, that's what Prabhupada used the word, these words, it appears that the soul was still there. So seemingly, even though he was just stone, just bones, that that he was still alive. The soul was still there, still in the body. And then Prabhupada, of course, he gives us the examples of the yogis and in their different wonderful positions that they show us that they can live. And even though the body may deteriorate in so many ways, the yogis, they're examples for us. And Bhagavad Gita explains this in so many different ways that a person can perform so many different austerities. And actually, our Krishna explains to Arjuna about how the soul has nothing really to do with the body. The soul is separate from the body. The soul is absolutely connected to the Lord, connected to the spiritual paradigm, nothing to do with this material existence. And so the yogis, they are examples for us to understand that in this world. And if we ever have any questions about it, we just need to become a little present to some of the different places in the scriptures that describes different yogis that have performed so many great austerities, different kinds of austerities, and yet their soul has stayed in their bodies. And where is that place that just this past year, I believe that was happening? The Kumbh Mela. Yeah, this past year. And so every so many years, all these great yogis gather together for Kumbh Mela so that people can actually see the power of some of these yogis, the mystical power that they may have, the things that they can do. I personally haven't been to the Kumbh Mela. However, I have many, many friends that have been. And they always tell me about all these, different yogis and the different austerities that, they have performed and how you see yogis that they appear to not to be so like in our material way of thinking about it, so skinny. they appear to not be their bodies at all. And yet, they're there, Kumbh Mela, every however many years it happens. I remember Takaprabhu said that he was very fortunate to have gone to one of those Kumbh Melas, or maybe more than one of them. And so that's a place where if we have doubts about what Prabhupada is speaking in this purport, that we can physically with our eyes see these yogis. And Prabhupada gives this amazing example of Christ after he was buried. And then so those are controversial here. He says that he was exhumed and then he went to Kashmir. I think some people get kind of question that. Said, where is this information coming from? In terms of historians, where would historians give this information? From where would they get their source? But for us as devotees, our source is Srila Bhagavatam. And our source, our historical source, is the Vedas and the scriptures. And so here Prabhupada is sharing with us that after he exhumed, I'm guessing that word means that he was taken alive and came out of that Gethsemane place, wherever that place was that he was placed in the cave. He was just taken out of there and he was alive, but he went somewhere else. And so people that are Christians, my daughter is a Christian minister, and so she would share sometimes about how Jesus Christ, was still alive, that they didn't really kill him. And so some Christians believe that. And so Prabhupada is referring to that here. He said that, so there's this great personality that supposedly was killed and put in this cave, but he actually wasn't really killed. They just took, they after 3 days of it, they took him out and he went on to another place, Kashmir. And then Prabhupada goes on to emphasize that there are many examples of yogis buried in trance and exhumed alive and in good condition several hours later. A yogi can keep himself alive. So His Holiness Radhanath Swami writes a lot about this in his journey home, having lived with many yogis, great yogis. And he gives us many stories about how these yogis could hold their life here. They're very expert in pranayama. And that these yogis, in many cases, many cases, that they definitely were not, they had no real emphasis on their physical body. Of course, many yogis are not aspiring so much for transcendence. In some cases, most of them are aspiring more for mystical proficiency, so to speak. But Radhanath Swami said he shares pastimes and how he lived with some of these yogis, and many of them he learned so much from them about entering in deeper spaces of spiritual life. And so, this purport is interesting because we can take this purport and I'm going to just transfer it or take it into another space of Kartik, right? Where this month we're celebrating Kartik. And we're honoring Kartik this month. So it's very, as I said earlier, this is a very auspicious month, this month, Srimati Radharani, actually. That this month is, I want to say Radharani is the one that is kind of directing all the activities of this month of Kartik. She's called Kartika. So this month is named after her. And so Prabhupada explains in different places, and he's given a class about worshiping Srimati Radharani during this month and begging Srimati Radharani for her mercy, because by us serving Radharani, then certainly we get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's the whole purport of Kartik. And so a part of Kartik is performing austerities. But there's a difference. When we hear this pastime of Hiranyakashipu, what is this chapter called? Hiranyakashipu plan to become immortal. So he has a plan, right? What is the saying says, everyone, we make plans, and then Krishna has the ultimate plan, something like that. There's some aphorism that says, we make plan and God laughs. So here, this is one of those where Krishna laughs and Hiranyakashipu, Vishnu laughs, and Brahma even laughs, even though Brahma is having to fulfill his desire. Brahma is obligated to assisting Hiranyakashipu with his very prideful desire. And so here we can understand that the Hiranyakashipu is performing austerity, so the demons, they perform great austerities with great attention, with great sincerity. Hiranyakashipu is very sincere in the austerities that he was performing, because he had, like I said, he had a goal, a project. And in this mood of austerities, there's a difference. His was more material benediction. His was, to get revenge. His was full of ego. But the devotees, we perform austerities during this month in order to get the mercy, in order to get the blessings of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. And so this month is quite auspicious for all of us. It's explained that in the Brahma Purana or Brahma Gita, I think that's where it is, I remember, that the benedictions that we get in month is, some places says, I think it's the Brahma Vibha, it's a book called Brahma Vibha or something like that. So it is what book that it's explained that there's 1,000 benefits, 1,000 times more benefits in this month if we actually engage in austerities that are meant to please the Supreme Personality of God. We get 1,000 times more benefits during this month. And in some of the places it says 100 times more. So I've heard different numbers, but we do know that the numbers are exponentially more than other times of the year. And so it's really key that we are able to embrace this month with joy in our hearts and enthusiasm to serve the devotees, enthusiasm to serve the Lord. And so I jotted a few things to share about some of the things. I know this is a very short class today because of the because we are doing Dhammadarastakam. So I jotted some of the things for us to kind of put some meditation. We can meditate on some of these things that we can do during this month of Kartik, and we can understand a little bit about some of the benefits. And I also wanted to share some of these austerities that Hiranyakashipu performed during this Leela. So what was his purpose? We talked about that. That he just wanted personal power. And, if we perform austerities for personal power, then that's not going to work. Because in Kartik, during this time, the austerities that we perform are to express our love and devotion to the Lord. And the focus is really on becoming more of a servant than we ever thought we've been in the past. This is the month we really experience what it means to serve in all sincerity, not just from our heads, but from our hearts. And Hiranyakashipu's, what is his motive? So his motive was hate and envy. All the austerities that he was performing, he was doing it because he was so angry. And this anger created all this hatred in his heart because of the fact that his brother was killed and he was seeking that vengeance, right? And so in Kartik, it's quite different for us because we're aspiring to engage in Anyavilasita, pure devotional service, pure love for Krishna. as exemplified by Mother Yashoda, tying Krishna, or binding Krishna with the rope. Unconditional love. That's what we're exploring. So it's absolutely different than Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu, what was he looking for? What did he want? Right. Well, what did he want? So he wanted that Lord Brahma would give him that benediction, like to get all this power, to have all this power. Um, and so he wanted to be invincible. This was what he wanted. But what do we want as devotees during Kartik? What is it that why would we perform any kind of austerity? Because we want to be bound by Krishna's love. This is what we're looking for during this month. We want Krishna to bind us up. We want to be conquered by him, not for power. We're not looking for power to lord it over anyone. We don't even want to lord it over ourselves unless we are meditating on lording over ourselves in order to serve. We want to be present to being available within ourselves with devotion to serve. That starts first internally. It starts with ourselves before we can even think to offer anything that we're doing to Krishna. It begins with us first setting a sankalpa. And that sankalpa every day is a meditation. Today, my dear Lord, I want to offer you with love and devotion myself, my whole being, my body, my mind, my intelligence, all of me. I want to offer that to you. And so what was the outcome? Of course, everything is temporary in this material world, all the power that anyone can have. So what happened with Hiranyakashipu? And inevitably, he had to die. He had to die. But for us, this month of Kartik is so auspicious, especially when we engage in devotional service, because we understand more and more and more. The veil, we get this veil lifted, that we're eternal. We don't ever die. And so we get that understanding deeper and deeper and deeper. Right? That's why my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, says, um, at a time in devotional life, at a certain period in devotional life, we get to a place where we just need to persevere through all the different nuances of things that might happen as we are growing in the process. Just keep persevering. But as we persevere, what happens is we get a deeper and deeper commitment in our hearts. And all the what appears to be struggles in devotional life becomes more joyful, and everything becomes just more sweet. Everything that we are experiencing becomes more sweet. And so, yeah, we get spiritual advancement, right? To get to advance spiritually. That's what we're looking for. So I wanted to share what is it that we can do in this month, Kartik. So of course, we're gonna offer ghee lamps today, every day, twice a day if possible. But every morning or every evening at home, if we're not able to come to the temple, try to chant extra rounds if we can, if possible. Try to serve the devotees of the Lord. Definitely hear Srimad Bhagavatam every day, even if we listen to it online. Every day there's classes all over the world. The devotees are just so creative. We can go anywhere and hear a class these days. Anaprashadam, that's always a beautiful one for every devotee. Of course, we know to chant the holy names of the Lord, increase our chanting. And then, of course, offer that to Tulsi. Every morning, the devotees are so fortunate that lives in the temple. They get that beautiful opportunity to offer a lot to the Lord. So if even to do that every day, it doesn't even have to be at Mangal Arts time. Just come in the temple at any point in the day and offer us some water to the Lord. And if there's still a lamp here, just offer it to Tulsi Maharani. Associate with the devotees. Yes, that's always beneficial. And of course, if we can, practice celibacy. It's a good time to practice celibacy. This month, if we're able to practice celibacy, we're able to really take that sankalpa and be very sincere about it, then Krishna will remove all the different mm, desires, all the desires that are obstruction to practicing celibacy. And giving in charity, that's a big one. The more you give, the more we get back. The more we give, the more we get back. Not just, we're not looking to get anything back materially. We're looking to get back spiritually. So this is the month to give. Give to the brahmanas. Give to the Lord. Do service in some way. Always give. If you can give money, fine. You can give your time. Whatever we can give, we give to the Lord. And going on Sankirtan by the devotees in State College. They're practicing going on Sankirtan, distributing books, such a beautiful thing. This month, if that can be done regularly, every weekend, go on Sankirtan, distribute books, that will be so beneficial during this month of Kartik. And what do we get for this month? We get an increased attachment to Krishna, right? Not like Hiranyakashipu. He gets diminishing returns because he's eventually going to die anyway. We get this attachment to Krishna, which gives us eternal life, which gives us an opportunity to, at some point in our life, maybe, not this life, but in our spiritual body, be a part of the Rasa Lila. That's the meditation of great devotees. We get inner purification this month. So by the mercy of our spiritual master, we had a chance to go to Govardhan this year, go to Vrindavan, and take shelter, go to lots of inner purification are going to come from that, we are sure. So this inner purification, let's not run away from it. Let's not hide from it. Let's be ready to embrace whatever inner purification may be there. Because it's all to remove the material desires. It's all to make us less Hiranyakashipu than maybe at least I have been, less than I have been. If I've been Hiranyakashipu for, this entire year, just by performing this 1 month, I get to be less of Hiranyakashipu. It's a minimize. We get spiritual strength. We get more peace in our mind. Peace, not in the sense of, there won't be wars. There's always going to be wars. But what does Krishna say? So the peace comes from serving Krishna, ultimately. And this is some of the benefits in the last 5 days. Those 5 days are so key. Bhishma Panchaka. And you can look at how to observe those 5 days. And during the month, somehow or other, not able to be as attentive to honor this month. Those 5 days, those last 5 days, they're most important. So let's find a way we can take shelter somehow of the Supreme Month and take shelter of Srimad Radharani. Nitai Gauranga, Hari Hari Prabhu Jai. Oh, there's the Srila Prabhupada. Oh, there's the revered spiritual master. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, I am. This is some. I am just so grateful that I can come to the temple on the first day of Kartik and beg for the mercy. And those devotees online, you get the same blessing. So if there's anything you'd like to share about this month of Kartik, anything you want to share, you can very soon. Online, I don't know how this works. If somebody have a question online, how does that work? Or not a question, maybe just some reflections.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Ready.
Thank you so much, Ma, for the inspirational class. So my question relates to your sources for daily inspiration and during Kartik. Is there like a speaker or somebody who provides like inspirational quotes or like a book that you read, which we can also take advantage of?
Yeah, I have quite a few people that I listen to during this month. Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes when we single people out that we might listen to, then that kind of maybe in some way not share how wonderful it may be to listen to other people. But for me, for the last few days, I've been listening to what's his name? Oh, no, Amarendra Prabhu. So I listen to him because he's very enthusiastic when he speaks. He's just so enthusiastic, and it just helps me to get enthusiastic about whatever it is that he's talking about. I just thrive at his enthusiasm. In Govardhan, I really appreciate Bhakti Gyan Maharaj. I like listening to his classes. He's very deep. He's very philosophical. He he's very grave. It's a different mood than Amaretto. It's not that he's not enthusiastic, it's just he has a different mood. So I actually love like different moods of listening to devotees. I listen also to the devotees that get class at the Bhakti Center. They're young. Well, not young, but some of them are younger than been practicing that as long as I maybe have been practicing, and they have such deep realizations, very deep realizations. I read the Kartik book. There is a book about Kartik written by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj. There's a wonderful book about Kartik, many wonderful pastimes, beautiful pastimes about Mother Yashoda and Krishna. Some pastimes that we don't hear normally. And of course, I listen to Srila Prabhupada, you know, always try to listen to Srila Prabhupada and hear what Prabhupada said. Actually, it's from listening to Prabhupada that I got those different uh, austerities that we need to be present or if we can engage in them during this. From Prabhupada. Prabhupada is one of my sources. Um, for sure, Prabhupada is all of our sources. And yeah, please, you also, I'd love for others to share. This is a month where we can share with each other about who to take shelter of, like, who can inspire us during this month of Kartik. And of course, we're going to go over down to engage in these different retreats. And so we're going to hear from His Holiness Sachinandan Swami, Gurujan Pudul, Jagatri Mataji, His Holiness Radhanath Swami, all the devotees, and so many devotees. Every devotee is so significant. Every devotee can give us, mercy during this month. So each devotee, I think if we take time, something that I find very valuable is to be kind to devotees during this month, especially. And that kindness is just by sharing kind words. So to the devotees that trigger us the most, the devotees that bring stuff up for us the most, take this month and go to those devotees and share some kind words. Share something just that we would never think to do with, you know, maybe a devotee that just is like, okay, you might have boundaries. Uh, I don't know. Devotees are all wonderful, but we sometimes have that but maybe this one I can stay away from. We'll go to that one during this and say something kind. Just take the example of Lord Brahma. He said something kind to Hiranyakashipu. He said, "You are amazing. You have such endurance." And we can say that to a devotee. You have such endurance to stay trying to be a devotee. Even if it's for a week. You're trying to be a devotee, even to be a devotee for a week can be kind of intense. So just, like Kala's room just came in, right? Kala's hugs every day. I mean, that maybe he has some support, but I don't think he has much support. And now I saw that he's dressed in the deities, and I saw the other day that he dressed rather Damodar. I'm not here, but I know a lot about what goes on all the time. And he dressed rather Damodar the other day. And so take time to say something to him. Prabhu, wow, look how you're increasing in your service. You took on brahmachari. You're being celibate. This month he's safe. He's totally celibate, right? So, yeah, take time to be kind. I think that's important. It's more important than, you know, hearing. I mean, it's all, of course, we need to hear. But I believe for me in my life, being kind to devotees is the most important thing. That that is the thing I think that makes us devotees, makes us real devotees. So let's practice that, all of us. That includes me. Kala, I know you're in here for a reason. Is it because there's something supposed to go on?
Well, I'm going to be studying the Puja for greens.
Okay, so the words of, we're supposed to be doing Guru Puja now? Okay, so I close. Okay, my dear devotees, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to come and share. Very grateful. So appreciative of all of you. Thank you so much. Nitai Gaura Haribol, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hari Hari.